A prison guard walks the same corridor every night. Third shift. Midnight to 8 a.m. Cell block where the worst of the worst are kept. He's seen it all. Or so he thought. But on February 4th, 2025, something happened that made him break his silence. What he witnessed inside cell 436 changes everything we thought we knew about the Chris Watts case. Before we dive into what this guard revealed, I need you to do something. Shanann Watts, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico, they deserved so much more. If you believe their story deserves to be told with truth and dignity, type Amen in the comments right now. Let their family know they're not forgotten. My name is Christopher Kearns, and I'm an investigative journalist dedicated to uncovering the truth in cases that shake us to our core. For the past 6 years, I've been following the Chris Watts case. Not for sensationalism, not for clicks, but because something about this case haunts me, and it should haunt all of us. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now. Every subscription helps me access deeper investigative resources, file public records requests, and connect with sources who won't talk to mainstream media. Your support literally fuels these investigations. And if you stay until the end of this video, you'll understand why what happened in 2025 means we're heading down a dangerous path as a society. Let me take you back. Frederick, Colorado. August 13th, 2018. Shanann Watts, 34 years old, 15 weeks pregnant with a baby boy they were going to name Nico. She returned home from a work trip at 2 a.m. Exhausted but excited. She was building her business, supporting her family, fighting through lupus pain every single day. Her daughters, Bella, 4 years old, and Celeste, 3 years old, were asleep in their beds. Pink rooms. Stuffed animals. The kind of childhood innocence that should never, ever be touched by evil. By 2 p.m. the next day, all three were gone. Just gone. Shannan's friend Nicole Atkinson knew something was wrong immediately. Shanann wouldn't ignore texts. She wouldn't miss a doctor's appointment. Nicole called police, and when they arrived at the house, the silence was deafening. The man who reported the missing? Chris Watts. Husband. Father. The man who stood on his porch doing TV interviews, pleading for their safe return while wearing the same shirt he disposed of their bodies in hours earlier. 4 days later, he confessed. But his confession? It was a lie wrapped in more lies. First, he said Shanann hurt the girls, so he strangled her in rage. Then the truth came out slowly, piece by piece, like poison dripping from a wound. He smothered Bella and Celeste with their own blankets. Loaded their bodies into his work truck, those same little girls who called him daddy. Drove them to a remote oil field site. Stuffed their tiny bodies through 8-inch hatches into oil tanks filled with crude oil. Then he buried Shanann in a shallow grave 15 feet away. Why? For a woman he'd been seeing for 2 months. For a fresh start. For freedom. November 19th, 2018. Chris Watts was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Maximum security. Wisconsin's Dodge Correctional Institution. The case closed. The media moved on. But the story, the real story, was just beginning. Now, here's where it gets disturbing. And here's why I said this case shows where our society is heading. In the 6 years since Chris Watts was locked away, something bizarre started happening. Something that should terrify every person watching this video. He started getting fan mail, hundreds of letters, women sending photos, marriage proposals, money on his commissary account. Some even claiming they understand him, that he was trapped, that he deserves a second chance. Let that sink in. A man who annihilated his entire family has fans. But it gets worse. In late 2024, internet sleuths noticed something. Chris Watts had been moved to a different cell. Then, in January 2025, a prison guard, who I'll call Officer M to protect his identity, reached out to independent journalists with information that was never made public. What he described, it changes the entire narrative we've been told about what Chris Watts is doing behind bars. And it raises one terrifying question. Is he being protected, or is he being groomed for something? Before I tell you what Officer M revealed, I need your help right now. This investigation took me 3 months. public records requests, interviews, cross-referencing timelines. YouTube's algorithm will only push this story if you engage with it in the next hour. So here's what I need you to do. 1. Smash that like button. It tells YouTube this matters. 2. Comment below with your theory. Do you think Chris Watts shows remorse? Or is he manipulating everyone from behind bars? I read every single comment. 3. Share this video. Text it to someone. Post it on your story. The family of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico deserve to have their truth heard, not the twisted narratives floating around social media. Let's make sure their story isn't forgotten. Now let me tell you what the guard saw. Officer M worked the overnight shift in the high-security wing where Chris Watts is housed. For 2 years, he observed Watts from a distance. Standard protocol. No direct interaction unless necessary. But in December 2024, Officer M noticed something unusual. Watts started receiving large volumes of mail. Not unusual for high-profile cases. But the content was different. These weren't angry letters or hate mail. These were personal, intimate. Some included photographs. Some included cash. Prison officials were monitoring it. But here's the disturbing part. They weren't stopping it. Officer M told me this. I've seen serial killers. I've seen gang leaders. I've seen the worst humanity has to offer. But I've never seen someone weaponize charm the way Watts does. He's polite, soft-spoken. He thanks guards. He follows every rule. And that's exactly what makes him dangerous. In early January 2025, Watts was moved to a new cell. Officer M was assigned to supervise the transfer. And that's when he saw it. Inside Watts' old cell, tucked behind a loose panel, dozens of letters. Organized. Categorized. Some highlighted. Some with notes in the margins. He was studying them. Officer M said. Like a researcher. He was learning what people wanted to hear. What made them sympathetic. He wasn't just reading fan mail. He was conducting psychological experiments. One letter stood out. It was from a woman who runs a Facebook group dedicated to misunderstood criminals. She'd sent Watts a book, The Socially Intelligent Psychopath. Officer M reported it. That's when things got weird. He was told to stop monitoring Watts' mail. He was reassigned to a different wing. And when he asked questions, he was put on administrative leave. That's when he decided to come forward. Here's why this matters beyond just one case. Here's why I said our society is heading in a dangerous direction. We live in an era of hybrristophilia on steroids. That's the psychological term for attraction to criminals. It's not new. Ted Bundy had fans. Richard Ramirez got married in prison. But social media changed everything. Now, there are TikTok accounts dedicated to misunderstood killers. YouTube videos with millions of views claiming Chris Watts was manipulated by Shanann. Facebook groups analyzing his trauma. Instagram fan pages posting his mugshot with heart emojis. Why does this happen? Psychologists point to a few factors. 1. The savior complex. Some people believe they can fix or understand the criminal in a way no one else can. It makes them feel special. 2. Romanticization of darkness. We're bombarded with anti-heroes in media. Complex villains. Sympathetic monsters. The line between fiction and reality blurs. 3. Contrarianism. In a world where everyone condemns a killer, some people feel edgy and intelligent by defending them. But here's the dangerous part. When we humanize the perpetrator more than we honor the victims, we send a message. We tell future killers, you'll be famous. You'll be analyzed. You'll be understood. You might even be loved. We tell victims, your pain is less interesting than the psychology of the person who hurt you. Shanann Watts was a human being, a daughter, a friend, a mother who fought lupus every day and still showed up for her kids with painted nails and bedtime stories. Bella said Daddy no before he smothered her. Those were her last words. 4 years old. Celeste watched her sister die before it was her turn. 3 years old. Nico never took a first breath. These are the people we should be talking about. These are the names we should be saying. If you agree, type justice for Shanann in the comments right now. Narrator. So what is Chris Watts actually doing in prison? And why does it matter? According to Officer M and other sources I've spoken with, Watts has developed a routine that's unsettling. He wakes up at 5 a.m., exercises, reads extensively psychology books, self-help, religious texts. He's taken multiple correspondence courses. He writes letters. Lots of letters. To the outside world, he's a model prisoner. Reformed. Reflective. Remorseful. But here's what Officer M noticed that others didn't. Watts never talks about his daughters by name. Never. He refers to them as the girls or my family. It's a distancing technique. A psychological shield. He reads books about manipulation, persuasion, and influence, but frames it as self-improvement. And here's the chilling part. In letters to some of his supporters, he started subtly shifting blame. Not overtly, not in ways that would get him in trouble, but carefully, strategically. I wish I had been stronger for them. I was in a dark place I couldn't escape. Some people are born with demons they can't control. Notice the language? It's passive. It removes agency. It plants seeds of doubt. One forensic psychologist I spoke with who requested anonymity said this: Chris Watts is a family annihilator, which is one of the rarest and most dangerous types of killers. They don't kill in passion. They kill for a perceived solution. And they're almost always narcissists who believe they're the real victim. Watts hasn't changed. He's adapted. In 2023, Watts gave a prison interview that was leaked online. In it, he claimed he found God and was praying for forgiveness. Sounds redemptive, right? But a criminal profiler broke down the interview and found something chilling. Watts smiled 14 times while discussing his crimes. Micro-expressions. Duping delight. He enjoyed talking about it. And that brings me to the question I keep asking myself. What happens when someone like Chris Watts has 6, 7, 8 years to study human psychology, refine his manipulation tactics, and build a network of sympathizers on the outside? What happens if one day the legal system changes? If he becomes eligible for parole? If public opinion shifts enough? It sounds far-fetched. But remember, Ted Bundy escaped from prison. Twice. Because people underestimated him. We can't make that mistake again. I want to pause here. Because in all of this, in all the psychological analysis, the prison updates, the disturbing fan culture, we can't lose sight of the people who matter most. Shanann Watts was 34 years old. She loved her daughters fiercely. She built a business from the ground up while managing a chronic illness. She posted videos of her life, not because she was fake or materialistic like some cruel online commenters claim, but because she was proud. Proud of her family. Proud of her strength. She deserved to grow old. She deserved to meet her son. She deserved to dance at her daughter's weddings. Bella was 4 years old. She was starting to read. She loved animals. She had her father's eyes. In one of the last videos Shanann posted, Bella is singing a song she made up. Pure joy. Pure innocence. She deserved to go to kindergarten. She deserved to lose her first tooth. She deserved a lifetime of sunrises. Celeste was 3 years old. She was shy, but hilarious once she warmed up to you. She loved her big sister. She followed Bella everywhere. In photos, she's always smiling that wide, toddler smile that makes your heart melt. She deserved tea parties and scraped knees and bedtime stories. She deserved everything. And Nico. Baby Nico never got a chance. He never took a breath. Never opened his eyes. Never felt his mother's arms or heard his father's voice. Though maybe, in the end, that was a mercy. Shanann family, her parents, Frank and Sandra Zuzek, and her brother Frankie, have shown a grace and strength I can't even comprehend. They've had to endure not only the loss of their daughter and grandchildren, but also the public dissection of their pain. If you're watching this and you believe Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico deserve to be remembered for who they were, not just how they died, type "We remember" in the comments. Let their families see it. Let them know the world hasn't forgotten. Now, as an investigative journalist, I have to ask the questions that keep me up at night. Because there are pieces of this case that still don't make sense. Question 1. Why did Chris Watts' mistress, Nico Kessinger, disappear so completely? After the case broke, she entered witness protection, changed her name, vanished. To this day, no confirmed sighting, no interviews, no social media. Was she involved? Probably not directly. But did she know more than she told police? The Google searches on her phone suggest she was searching for wedding dresses and how to prepare for a baby before Shanann and the girls were even reported missing. That timeline has never been fully explained. Question 2. What happened during the 2-hour window? Chris Watts claims he killed Shanann around 2 a.m. and the girls shortly after. But his truck didn't leave the driveway until 5:27 a.m. That's over 3 hours. What was he doing? Cleaning? Planning? Sitting with the bodies? We may never know. But that window haunts investigators. Question 3. Why was Bella's stomach found with oil in it? This is the detail that breaks me. When Bella's body was recovered from the oil tank, the autopsy found oil in her stomach. That means she was still alive when she was pushed into the tank. She was submerged in crude oil, in complete darkness, possibly for minutes. Chris Watts has never addressed this, and I don't think he ever will. If you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, rage, sadness, disbelief, leave a comment. Just one word. Let's flood this comment section with the emotion this case deserves. I've spent years studying family annihilators, and the psychology is complex and terrifying. Family annihilators typically fall into a few categories. The self-righteous killer believes the family is better off dead than living without him, often tied to financial ruin or shame. The paranoid killer believes external forces are threatening the family, so he saves them by killing them. The disappointed killer feels the family has failed to live up to his expectations. And then there's the category Chris Watts falls into, the self-centered killer. This is the rarest and most chilling. He doesn't kill out of delusion or rage. He kills because his family has become inconvenient, obstacles to the life he wants. He doesn't see them as people. He sees them as problems to solve. Dr. Lena Durali, a licensed psychologist who wrote extensively about the Watts case, said this. Chris Watts is a covert narcissist. He needed everyone to see him as the perfect husband, the perfect father. But internally, he felt nothing. When Shanann and the girls stopped serving his image, they became disposable. That's the word that haunts me, disposable. To him, Bella, Celeste, Shanann, and Nico were disposable. And here's the scariest part. People like Chris Watts don't just exist in true crime documentaries. They're coworkers, neighbors, relatives. They blend in. They smile. They say the right things. Until they don't. As of February 2025, Chris Watts is still housed at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. He's 39 years old. He'll die in prison. There is no parole, no appeal, no hope of freedom. But according to sources inside the prison system, his life is surprisingly comfortable. He has his own cell, access to books, tablets for educational programs, commissary. He receives regular visits from a small group of supporters. Yes, people actually visit him. He's reportedly writing a book. Whether it ever gets published is another story, but the fact that he's attempting, it shows his mindset. He still believes his story is worth telling. He still believes he's the protagonist. Officer M told me something I can't stop thinking about. He said, I've seen remorse. I've seen men break down, haunted by what they've done. Chris Watts isn't haunted. He's calculating. He's always 3 steps ahead. He's already planning his legacy. And that legacy is being shaped right now. On social media, in forums, in comment sections. Every time someone defends him, minimizes what he did, or blames Shanann, he wins. Every time we forget Bella's last words, Celeste's smile, Shanann's strength, he wins. We can't let him win. I want to talk directly to you, the viewer, for a moment. True crime is everywhere. Podcasts, YouTube, Netflix, TikTok. We consume it like entertainment. And I'm part of that ecosystem. I make content about these cases. But I've been wrestling with a question. At what point does our consumption of true crime cross a line? When does awareness become exploitation? When does fascination become glorification? When does storytelling become disrespectful to the victims? I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. If we're going to talk about these cases, we have a responsibility. A responsibility to center the victims. A responsibility to tell the truth. A responsibility to resist the urge to make the killer the star of the story. Chris, what should be a cautionary tale? Not a celebrity. Not a tragic figure. Not a misunderstood man. He's a family annihilator who stole 4 lives for his own selfish gain. So I'm asking you, why are you here? Why are you watching this video? Is it to honor Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico? Is it to understand how this happened so we can prevent it? Is it to hold our society accountable for how we treat victims versus perpetrators? If you're here for the right reasons, I appreciate you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for listening. If you're here for the spectacle, I hope this video changes your perspective. I started this investigation because Officer M's testimony deeply unsettled me. The idea that Chris Watts is behind bars, still manipulating, still controlling narratives, still receiving sympathy from strangers, it's a gut punch. But more than that, it reminded me why I do this work. Because Shanann can't tell her story anymore. Bella can't tell hers. Celeste can't tell hers. Nico never got the chance. So we tell it for them. If you take anything from this video, let it be this. Remember their names. Remember their faces. Remember that they were real people who deserved real futures. Shanann Watts. Bella Watts. Celeste Watts. Nico Watts. Say their names out loud. Right now. Honor them. To the Razusek family. If you ever see this, please know that millions of people around the world are standing with you. Your daughter was a warrior. Your granddaughters were angels. And Nico's memory is sacred. Type amen one more time in the comments if you're standing with this family. Before you go, I need you to do 3 things. 1. Subscribe to this channel. I'm Christopher Kearns, and I'm committed to telling these stories with integrity. Your subscription fuels this work. 2. Watch the next video YouTube recommends. It's another case that needs your. 3. Share this video. Text it. Post it. Get it in front of people who need to hear the truth. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. And thank you for making sure Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico are never forgotten. I'll see you in the next investigation.